This is not a dog. This is also not a dog. These two animals that look like dogs are actually biologically engineered creatures of horror made by yours truly, humans. From centuries of selected breedings, we as a species have taken fierce, powerful animals like wolves and turned them into these things. Now, on a show like Bluey, if following its own logic of humans not existing, you would assume pugs will not exist because literally, why would they? But for some reason, they do. And this is not the only weird, horrifying concept this show introduces by simply ignoring the concept of evolution. How about the fact that every couple seen in the show is of the same breed, and we literally never see a non-purebred dog? Or in my opinion, the single question I would really like someone to answer for me: how are these dogs walking on two legs? Oh wait. Okay, so I'm guessing you're not as heated by these dogs as me, and that's fine. I love Bluey, it's a fun show, but I can't just ignore these things. That would require me to cosplay a functioning human being who doesn't overanalyze children's media, someone I am not. So instead, I'm going to be going over the confusing and horrifying science of this show, trying to propose a possible answer for how these things are existing in universe, and even more on the horrifying evolution of Bluey. Let me explain. To start things off, let's go into the simple issues the show raises, one that all of you are not supposed to care about, as meta-wise, it's a show for children, being that there are dog breeds that would not exist without human intervention. See, in the Bluey universe, dogs are basically a stand-in for humans, like say the Cars in the Cars universe. This means humans did not domesticate and selectively breed these dogs, but they evolved naturally to be this way, which does not make any sense. These dog breeds are not a product of evolution or nature, it's a product designed by man. Artificial selection is a process done by humans to a group of animals or plants. For dogs, we chose traits to breed into them because we thought they were cute or useful to humans specifically. Shorter snouts, floppier ears, smaller bodies, bigger eyes. Those changes were for humans to find cute. We also made their personalities tuned for dependence and affection rather than survival, so they'd be the ideal pet. Because like it or not, if you go into the forest and try to pet a wolf, it's gonna eat your arm. But if you were to remove humans from the picture, all of this would become obsolete. Why? Because nature doesn't breed for cuteness, it breeds for effectiveness. So an animal like a pug with many developmental problems would not evolve naturally, as all those traits would be punched by its environment if you remove humans, which give animals like a pug basically positive reinforcement for being a creature of sad horror. And just to make it clear, this is not just a problem for our pug friend in the show, it also affects Pomeranians because their size would simply be a disadvantage, or tons of other breeds that are riddled with back issues, very poor breathing, and just a heap of really bad stuff. This video makes me really not like humans, dear god. To simplify all of this, if you remove humans, the process of something called domestication syndrome, which is what we do to dogs, would not be possible as it removes the selector, which is humans' preference. Which means in the Bluey universe, most modern dog breeds wouldn't exist at all. They wouldn't even evolve to exist, as the conditions of their existence are pointless. This leads to an important fact that would really change the Bluey universe if the show decided to not ignore science. In natural ecosystems, successful species don't just diversitize into thousands of breeds like we had with dogs. No, over time, evolution actually sandpapers down variants of an animal towards the best possible version of one. Different lineages would end up arriving not at the same place, of course, but way more similar, at least in a single environment like Australia, because the entire species needs the same thing to survive. This all would end with a Bluey universe just being a bunch of wolves if it decided to follow its own logic and science, but alas, that's actually not the end of the many questions this show raises by not following the concept of evolution and science. Let me explain. Now, the next issue that Bluey has is actually the reason I began this video, being that I noticed it literally while watching the show. Why are all the characters pure breeds? Where are the mutts in the show? The mixed couples? It doesn't make sense. Like all of this show, but especially this. See, in the real world, mutts exist, not because of humans, but because it's a simple natural result of having breeds. When you have a population of different breeds of the same animal that can all intermix for multiple generations, you will always end with mutts. Now, of course, humans do purebred dogs, but A, we don't have a collective power stopping mutts from existing, so even in our world, mutts exist, but we, humans, again do not exist in the Bluey universe. So yet again, we arrive at a question: who is enforcing a universal purebred program on these poor dogs, because nature's not doing that? At this point, there's really only two options. Either the show's universe which completely ignores biology, which like is the correct option, but there's also a second one I like more because it makes my brain not hurt. If the only way to maintain a purebred population at a national scale is for an actual eugenics program to be in place where all mutts are literally eliminated and all couples are forced to be of the same breed, then I guess that's what's happening. It's not like a species can't inbreed themselves. We literally did that. European royal families literally spent centuries marrying cousins, nieces, distant relatives to preserve bloodlines. This was very stupid and of course led to many horrible problems because pro tip, inbreeding is bad. But we could say for some reason this dog-run Australia government is really into keeping everyone a pure breed with no mutts. Why? Literally no idea. This is my half-assed attempt at trying to logic the failed science of Bluey with a literal inbreeding mutt murder program. Great. But even with my somewhat possible theory that could solve the weird issues of breeds existing that shouldn't and the missing of mutts, we can't logic one thing. No, we can only try and explain how insane it is and marvel in fear. What is it? How the hell are these dogs walking on two legs? It's all a simple question, really. I was able to answer everything else, why they look the way they do, why they don't pop us anything other than a pure breed. So what about the biggest question that I think 99% of people ignore, which is why they walk on two legs? I'm sure it's a very simple question to answer that science is an easy explanation for. Yeah, no, it's not. These dogs are an evolutionary disaster that I fear more than death. Dogs are curcial quadrupeds, animals designed to move long distances on four legs as efficiently as possible. Everything about them is tied to that. The way their spine flexes, the angle of their hips, the structure of their legs, even how their organs are arranged inside the body. It's a system that works beautifully until you try to rotate at 90 degrees like a madman. Let's start with the spine because this is where it fails immediately. Bipeds need vertical spines. This is because weight stacks downwards in compression. For example, humans and birds all have this need, but dogs don't have that. They have long horizontal spines designed to bend and recoil like springs while running. This is a heavy advantage for a dog as it gives them extreme flexibility and motion while running, but if they were upright, it becomes an extreme liability. You're taking something shaped like a suspension bridge, standing it up on itself and loading with the entire weight of the body. The lower vertebrae takes enormous compressive forces here, discs start to fall, and the spine literally breaks. This is not something that can be adapted over time, as it's too big of a leap that dogs don't need to make because they were perfectly fine on four legs. Then there's the pelvis, which is just wrong. Human and bird pelvises are short and bowl-shaped, designed to support organs from below and distribute weight downwards. Dog pelvises are literally the opposite, being long and narrow, built to transmit force backwards for sprinting and jumping. To make bipedism even remotely viable, a dog would need a complete pelvic redesign, which would make our dogs not even dogs. The knees are also a big problem here, as a dog's hind legs are optimized for spring and thrust. They walk efficiently in a crouch, forward-leaning posture, storing and releasing energy with every stride. Bipeds need the opposite, knees that can walk under vertical load, broad joints that can handle static stress, and reduce elasticity. So, when a dog stands upright, the knees experience extreme shear forces, tendons strain under loads they were never meant to bear, and muscles burn just to maintain balance. Now, yes, this is possible for a short time, like if a dog was standing up to get at something, but it's not a permanent position they can just evolve into, as it's horribly inefficient. Now, I did try and attempt to solve how we could get our two-legged dog friends to function with science, mainly trying to use their tail as some kind of counterweight, but tails don't really function like that. Now, while yes, they do help with turning and stabilizing motion, in no way can they replace a widened pelvis, a recentered center of mass, or organs that stay put under gravity. Basically, it can never be enough. Even kangaroos, which can stand upright, rely on a massive tail and a completely different system built around hopping. Sadly, dogs don't have that pathway to evolve down available. There's no gradual bridge between wolf and kangaroo. So, the use of a tail as a counterweight to hold them up just doesn't really work. And finally, the biggest reason these dogs would not be able to stand upright is energy. Evolution only keeps traits that save energy or dramatically increase survival. A bipedal dog would do the opposite. They would burn more calories just by standing, accelerate slower, lose endurance, and become worse at hunting and escaping. It's simply impossible for the dogs in the Bluey universe, if following any bounds of logic and physics along with evolution, to stand upright with two legs. And that is the horrifying evolution of Bluey. From many weird questions the show proposes because its inability to use logic, to a very overly dark and stupid answer made by yours truly, I have one conclusion. Bluey is a piece of eldritch horror of science and biology that I am glad was people saying the word cartoons, and I fear today we did a live action movie because no, never, please, no. If you would like more videos like this, click on this playlist right here for my overanalyzing science videos on nostalgic shows, or this video which YouTube thinks you'll like. Either way, bye.